I came home early from work with a bouquet of flowers in one hand and a surprise weekend getaway envelope in the other. I thought I'd find her alone, maybe napping or scrolling through her phone. Instead, I found her on her knees in our laundry room with a janitor, my fiancée, the woman I was supposed to marry in less than a month. And she was laughing when she saw me, not in shock, not in regret, but laughing like I was the joke. It was a Friday. I remember because I had traded shifts with Ben, so I could surprise her with a long weekend trip upstate. I stopped by the bakery on 9th to grab her favorite croissants, picked up tulips, her favorite, and even printed the Airbnb reservation on thick glossy paper. I felt stupid later for putting that much effort into something that didn't matter anymore. The moment I stepped inside, something was off. Our dog, Max, didn't run to the door. He always barked or at least panted with excitement. The house was quiet. Too quiet. I walked in slowly, figuring she might be napping. The croissants were still warm. The tulips were fresh. I was smiling. Then I heard it. Not voices. Grunts. Coming from the laundry room, of all places. I didn't want to believe it. I still thought maybe she had the TV on or was watching something in there. I told myself anything except what it sounded like. But I had to check. When I opened the door, I froze. She was there, knees on the tiled floor, with her back arched and her arms wrapped around the waist of a man in a navy blue uniform. I recognized the logo. It was the same janitorial company that serviced the building next door. The guy's belt had rubber gloves hanging from it. He smelled like bleach and sweat. She turned her head and saw me, and she laughed. "Well, you're home early," she said, almost like she was proud of herself. The janitor scrambled up like he was about to apologize, but she just tapped his chest and said, "Don't bother." I couldn't speak. My hands were shaking so bad I dropped the croissants. The paper bag burst open, and the pastries scattered across the floor. She stood up, wiped her mouth with the back of her hand, and looked me dead in the eye. "What? You were going to surprise me with something romantic, weren't you? You're so predictable." He started adjusting his pants. I stepped back, unsure if I was about to cry or collapse. She looked at me like I was pathetic. "You really thought I'd spend my whole life with someone like you? You're sweet, but you're safe. Boring. I needed someone real." "Someone real," I croaked. "He's a janitor." She smirked. "Exactly. At least he knows how to clean up a mess." I turned and walked out before I did something I'd regret. The tulips were still in my hand, and I crushed them without realizing it. Petals fell onto the porch as I stumbled to my car. I didn't go home that night. I didn't go anywhere. I sat in a parking lot for 5 hours trying to convince myself that it didn't happen. But it did. I saw it. I heard it. And the worst part? She wasn't even sorry. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the car with the seat back, staring at the ceiling, trying not to scream. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her. On her knees. Laughing. I went home the next morning. Not because I wanted to see her, but because all my things were there. The wedding invitation board was still hanging in the hallway. Her handwriting was on the sticky notes. Dress fittings, cake tastings, honeymoon planning. We had dates booked and deposits made. My mom had bought her a necklace. My little cousin was writing a song for our first dance. And she threw it all away for a guy who probably unclogs toilets in basements. I opened the door slowly. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone as if nothing had happened. "Oh," she said, without looking up, "you're back." I didn't answer. She looked at me and smirked. "So, are we going to cry again?" "Because I'm not in the mood at all." I threw the tulips, now dry and broken, on the table and went into the kitchen to get some water. My hands were shaking. I felt empty, like someone had pulled out my insides and filled me with cement. She followed me, barefoot, still wearing the same shirt she'd been wearing the night before. Probably hadn't even showered. She leaned against the refrigerator and said, "Look, I didn't plan for you to see this." That sentence broke something in me. "You didn't plan for me to see this?" I said quietly. She shrugged. I thought you'd be at work." I turned around, looking at her as if I didn't even know who she was. "We were supposed to get married in 3 weeks." "Were we supposed to get married?" she said. "Or were you just hoping that if you planned enough cute weekends, I'd forget how empty this relationship was?" She circled the kitchen island, coming closer. "You never noticed, did you? How small you are. Always playing it safe. Always afraid to rock the boat. That's why I started looking for something else." My jaw clenched. I wanted to puke. "You think this happened overnight?" she continued. "No, sweetie. It was building up. You just didn't notice because you were too busy praising yourself for being so loyal and harmless. I stared at her. I wanted to forgive you. She rolled her eyes. Of course I did. That's what makes it so pathetic. I opened the drawer next to the sink and pulled out a printed reservation for our honeymoon, 5 nights at a lake house in Vermont. Quiet. Peaceful. I'd planned every detail around what she'd said she wanted. She took it from my hands and looked it over. Is this your idea of romance? She said, laughing again. A lake? No Wi-Fi? God, you don't even know me. I walked past her, into the bedroom, and started getting ready. I was shaking so much I couldn't fold my shirt properly. She followed me, crossing her arms over her chest. Are you really leaving? Like this? I can't look at you. Well, maybe you shouldn't have come home early. That one sentence transformed me into a person I didn't recognize. I dropped my bag, walked past her, walked out the door. She didn't chase me. She didn't call. She didn't care. I didn't eat for 2 days. Couldn't. Every time I picked up a fork, I saw her smirk. Her mouth wiping off the mess she made with that man like it was nothing. Like I was nothing. I stayed at my brother's place. He didn't ask questions, just handed me a beer and let me sit in silence. That first night, he said, you look like you've been hit by a truck. I nodded. Worse. The third day, I woke up on his couch and looked around at his messy apartment, pizza boxes, laundry, a sink full of dishes, and I realized something. This was the most peace I'd felt in weeks. And she didn't even text me. That's when it hit me. She didn't think I'd do anything. She thought I'd cry, collapse, maybe beg. She counted on me staying pathetic. And that's when I stopped being pathetic. I started small. I opened my laptop and canceled the joint credit cards. Every one of them. The honeymoon reservation? Gone. Non-refundable. The deposit for the venue? I called and told them she cheated. They were so sympathetic they offered a partial refund. She probably hadn't even checked the emails yet. Next, I made a list. Not a to-do list. A how-to-break-her list. Because I wasn't just going to leave. No. I was going to make her feel it. She used to laugh at how I kept receipts. You're like a scared accountant, she once said. Well, now that scared accountant had every bill, transfer, Venmo receipt, and shared financial docs saved neatly in cloud folders, with her name all over the luxury purchases she made behind my back. Designer shoes, lash appointments, even a spa retreat I never knew about. I checked the date. It was the weekend I was out of town for my cousin's wedding. I was at a wedding. She was in a spa. Probably not alone. I kept digging. Our lease? In my name. The furniture? Bought on my card. Her car? A lease I co-signed. Her phone bill? Still under my account. I stared at the spreadsheet I made of all the things she depended on me for. And I smiled. But I wasn't ready yet. This couldn't just be about cutting her off. No. That would make me feel better, but not worse than she made me feel. I wanted her to wake up one day and realize she had burned the only person who ever actually cared. So I needed to make her trust me again. Just enough. That meant returning to the apartment. That meant pretending I was thinking about working things out. That meant looking her in the eye and letting her believe I was weak again. It made me sick to even consider it. But if I wanted to watch her fall, she had to believe I still loved her. I waited 3 more days before I messaged her. Just a simple, can we talk? She replied in under a minute. I was wondering when you'd come to your senses. That sentence told me everything I needed to know. She still thought she held all the power. That I was nothing without her. That maybe I'd crawl back, desperate and apologetic. Perfect. I came over that evening. She had on makeup, tight jeans, and one of the tops she used to wear when she wanted something. She even lit a candle. Like I was walking into some twisted reunion dinner. Didn't think you'd actually reach out, she said, leaning on the counter like she was starring in some rom-com. You've been dramatic. I didn't respond to that. Just looked her in the eye and said, I miss you. That made her smile. That made me want to scream. I knew you'd calm down eventually, she said, smug. I mean, come on. What we have, it's bigger than one mistake. One mistake? I repeated softly, like I was agreeing. She didn't ask where I'd been. Didn't apologize. Didn't even mention the janitor. I guess she assumed we'd pretend it never happened. That I'd just slide right back into place. So I did. I stayed that night. Slept on the couch, of course. I told her I needed time, that I was trying to process everything. She nodded, saying she understood, then immediately asked if I could help her make a few calls to vendors we canceled, in a moment of panic. I helped her. I even uncanceled her bridal shower venue. Told the planner there had been a misunderstanding. Why? Because it was paid for. And because I had a better idea. I spent the next week pretending to heal. I brought her coffee. I cooked. I told her I still loved her and was just scared. She lapped it up, said I was growing. She had no idea what was coming. The bridal shower was set for Sunday. It was supposed to be a classy rooftop brunch with her closest girlfriends, cousins, and bridesmaids. Her mom even flew in for it. I arrived an hour early with a flash drive and a plan. I found the A/V guy setting up a slideshow she had emailed and pictures of us through the years, cutesy quotes about forever, the typical Pinterest garbage. I handed him a different flash drive. This is the final version, I said. She updated it. He didn't ask questions. I left before the party started, sat in my car down the street and waited. At exactly 1:24 p.m., I got the first call. Then 5 more. Then 12 texts. I ignored every single one, because I already knew what they were seeing. Every photo, every receipt, every hotel charge, every timestamp of her location. And at the end of it all, a picture of her in the laundry room, caught on our apartment's motion-activated security camera, something she didn't know existed. The final slide? Congratulations to the bride-to-be and the janitor. By the time I walked back inside, half the guests were gone. Her mother was crying in the corner. Her best friend looked like she wanted to slap someone. And her? She was sitting on the floor, mascara running, holding her phone like it might save her. "You ruined me," she whispered. I smiled. That was the idea. I thought she'd hide, disappear, maybe move out and lay low after the bridal shower ambush. That's what someone with shame would do. But not her. Monday morning, I woke up to an email from our shared property management account. Access removed by secondary user. Your login has been disabled. I tried to reset the password. Denied. Then I checked our shared Google Drive folder where I'd backed up every receipt and record she didn't know I had. Gone. She had deleted the entire folder. Panic hit my chest like a cinder block. Not because I didn't have backups, I did, on a separate flash drive, but because I'd underestimated her. I was still thinking she was careless, emotional, sloppy. She wasn't. She was cold, strategic, efficient. I got a text 10 minutes later. Thought you were smart. Turns out you're just petty. My turn. I drove straight to the apartment. Her car wasn't in the lot, but when I tried my key, it didn't work. She'd changed the locks. I buzzed the front desk. "Sorry, sir," the guy said. "You're no longer listed on the lease." She said you moved out. "I own the lease," I snapped. He shrugged. "Not according to the updated paperwork. You'll need to take it up with the leasing office." The leasing office confirmed what I feared. She had come in that morning with a forged lease transfer document, claiming I signed off on it. She even had a fake email thread printed out to back it up. "We'll need time to verify," they said. "Until then, please don't try to enter the unit." So I went back to my car. No apartment, no shared account access, no furniture, because it was all still in the unit. But the worst hit came later that night. I got served. A thick envelope dropped at my brother's place addressed to me. Inside, a cease and desist letter signed by her new attorney. Not just any attorney. One of the ones she used to work under as a temp. In bold letters. Harassment, public defamation, unlawful use of surveillance equipment without consent. She was suing me. For exposing her. For the slideshow. For using the security camera. She claimed emotional distress, reputational harm, and career sabotage. I sat at the table, holding that letter, heart pounding. My brother read over my shoulder. "Dude, she's serious." "Yeah," I said. "She's also smarter than I thought." She was ahead now. The bridal shower stunt? It backfired. I made her look bad, but in doing so, I gave her ammo. Her work suspended her. Temporarily. But it wasn't permanent. And now she was flipping it, acting like I was the unstable ex out to destroy her life because she broke off a wedding. And it was working. I started getting blocked by mutual friends. One even messaged me. "You should have just let it go. That video was messed up. You need help." Help? I was the one cheated on. I was the one humiliated. But no one cared. Because she was painting me as the creep with the camera. She played the victim perfectly. She knew how to perform grief and trauma like a script she'd memorized. And me? I looked exactly like what she was describing. Bitter, vindictive, unstable. She was winning. For now. I spent 3 days doing nothing but watching. Not her, but the system. The cracks. The people she used to cover her tracks. While she smeared me online and played the victim in front of her lawyer, I was in the county clerk's office requesting public records. I knew she forged the lease transfer. She used a fake email thread to claim I gave up my rights to the apartment. But she forgot one thing. I still had the original lease agreement in my email from the day we signed it. And my signature? On file, verified with ID. Hers? Not so much. I printed everything, timestamps, metadata, submission logs, and brought it to the property management's legal office. You're saying she falsified a lease document? The woman asked me, narrowing her eyes. Yes, I said, and submitted fake emails to back it up. She glanced at the papers, saw the inconsistencies immediately, and told me she'd escalate to compliance. That was the phrase I needed. The moment I knew I had my opening. By Thursday, I got a call. We're restoring your access to the unit pending investigation. She was about to come home to a very different apartment. I went in early, took pictures of everything. Not to post, not to humiliate, to protect myself. I documented all shared property, couch, TV, electronics, kitchen appliances. I even filmed a walkthrough, narrating what belonged to me, what we bought together, and what I was taking. Then I called a moving crew. Not professionals. Just two guys I found on a neighborhood app who didn't ask questions. By noon, I had emptied the entire living room, half the kitchen, and my bedroom. Everything that was mine, or half mine, was loaded into a storage unit I rented under a new LLC I registered that morning. She didn't even know I was back in the unit. That was the best part. That night, I left one thing in the apartment, a note on the floor where the couch used to be. Consider this the refund for the honeymoon. Then I logged out of all shared streaming accounts. Closed our shared Spotify. Revoked access to our Google Photos. Canceled the Wi-Fi contract, which was in my name. And the final move? I filed a counterclaim to her lawsuit. My attorney, who was smarter than I gave him credit for, helped me file a fraud report against her regarding the lease document. Said it might not go to trial, but it could damage her credibility if she tried to press her emotional distress case. Suddenly, her lawyer wasn't returning my calls. I heard through a friend that she'd been asked to take a step back from the paralegal job she was so proud of. That forged lease? Not a good look when you work in law. She showed up at my brother's place that weekend. No makeup. No lawyer voice. Just rage. You think this is over? She hissed. You think taking your couch makes us even? I didn't even flinch. This isn't about a couch, I said. It's about balance. You tipped the scale. I'm just bringing it back. She tried to slap me. My brother stepped between us. She stormed off. But she wasn't done. I knew that look. She was planning her next move. I thought I was one step ahead. I really did. After getting back into the apartment, clearing out what was mine, hitting her with the fraud counterclaim, and watching her job put her on leave, I thought she'd fold. That she'd finally realize this wasn't a game she could win. But she had one move left. And it wrecked me. It started with a phone call from a woman I hadn't spoken to in years, Rachel, one of my old college exes. We broke up clean. No drama. We were young. It didn't work. Haven't said more than happy birthday in 5 years. But now she was calling me, crying. I'm so sorry, she said. I didn't know she'd twist it like that. I had no idea what she was talking about. She came to my job, Rachel explained. Said she needed to talk about you for legal reasons. I thought it was some background thing. She asked me if you ever yelled. If you ever got jealous. If you ever made me feel unsafe. I froze. Rachel kept going. I told her no. I told her you were never like that. But then I heard what she said in court. She made it sound like I said the opposite. My chest went cold. She was building a case. A character case. Later that day, I got the papers. Temporary restraining order. Filed under emotional instability, escalating behavior, and verbal intimidation. She claimed I had anger episodes, had access to surveillance equipment, and posed a potential threat. She used my own slideshow as evidence. She listed my presence at the apartment, even though I had legal access, as an act of intimidation. She said I weaponized personal data to publicly humiliate and emotionally traumatize her. And the worst part? She submitted written statements from 3 of her friends who swore they witnessed controlling behavior on my part during the engagement. One of them even said I had isolated her from friends. The same friends who ghosted me after the bridal shower. I sat on the floor reading the paperwork, feeling the air leave my lungs. This wasn't about getting even anymore. She was trying to ruin me. My lawyer looked grim when I handed him the documents. She's shifting the battlefield, he said. From betrayal to abuse. If this sticks, You're not just losing a case. You're losing your reputation. But it's all fake, I said. She doesn't care, he replied. She's not playing to the judge. She's playing to the system, to public opinion. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. For the first time since this all started, I felt truly powerless. She didn't just want to win. She wanted to erase me. The restraining order was granted on a temporary basis. A full hearing was set for 30 days later. Until then, I couldn't text her, couldn't step near our apartment building, couldn't even contact mutual friends who might mediate per her request. She controlled the narrative. I was a villain now, in the eyes of the court, in the eyes of our community, and most terrifying of all, maybe even in my own eyes, for a moment, but only for a moment, because deep inside that darkness, I found a thread. One mistake she made, and if I pulled it hard enough, everything she built would come crashing down. The restraining order boxed me in. She made it so I couldn't move without looking guilty. And I knew if I made even one wrong step, she'd use it to destroy me completely. She was setting me up to look like the unstable ex, the angry man. But she got arrogant. And arrogance makes people sloppy. I was sitting in my car outside my lawyer's office, flipping through the restraining order again when I noticed something strange. One of the witness statements she submitted had a signature at the bottom that didn't match anything else. It was from her best friend, Megan. Only. Megan had moved to Arizona 2 months before the bridal shower, and the statement said she'd witnessed my controlling behavior at a dinner party that never happened. So I called Megan. Blocked number. She picked up anyway. Hey, this is weird, but it's important. Did you write a witness statement for Sarah's restraining order? A long pause. Then, what? No. I haven't talked to her in weeks. Why? I emailed her the PDF she supposedly signed. 2 hours later, she called me back in a panic. I didn't write this, she said. That's not my signature. That's not even how I talk. Would you be willing to say that in court? I'll do one better, she said. I'll write a sworn affidavit right now. And she did. We sent it to my lawyer that night. That one fake statement changed everything. Because if one witness was fabricated, what if the others were too? We dug in. Hard. My lawyer subpoenaed the metadata of the digital files Sarah had submitted to the court. He cross-checked timestamps, IP addresses, device logs. What he found? 3 separate statements from 3 different witnesses were all created on the same device, using the same Microsoft Word license, within a 17-minute window. All from her laptop. I had her. We didn't go to her lawyer this time. We went straight to the judge. Filed a motion for dismissal of the restraining order based on fraudulent evidence. We backed it with Megan's affidavit, the metadata report, and a timeline showing how Sarah fabricated an entire narrative from scratch to portray me as violent. We asked the court to review for perjury. Within 48 hours, the temporary order was suspended pending investigation. She lost her leverage. Her case fell apart. And that job she was on leave from? Her firm found out about the forged legal documents. Termination. No appeal. Now I was back in the apartment. Not to stay, but to finish cleaning it out. I walked into our old bedroom and found one of her journals under the bed. I didn't open it. I didn't have to. Because now, for the first time since this nightmare started, I had the momentum. She tried to smear me. She tried to destroy me. But in her rush to win, she exposed herself. And now? Now I had proof that she wasn't just a cheater. She was a liar. A manipulator. A fraud. And I knew exactly what to do with that truth. I thought it was over. After her job dropped her, after the restraining order was lifted, after the fake witness statements were exposed, I thought she'd finally back down. But she wasn't done. Because she still had one card left. And I didn't see it coming. 2 weeks after the court dismissed her order, I got a letter in the mail. From a law office I didn't recognize. At first, I thought it was another threat. Another lie. But when I opened it, my hands started to shake. She was suing me again. Not for harassment. Not for defamation. For breach of verbal contract and financial damages due to emotional sabotage. It was absurd. But she backed it with something I hadn't considered, a series of voice recordings. She had recorded me. In the apartment. In the car. During late-night reconciliation conversations, when I pretended to forgive her, to lure her into a false sense of safety. And in those recordings, I sounded guilty. I don't know if I can forgive you, but I still love you, I said in one. I'll fix it if we can just start over, I said in another. I had said those things to bait her. But she cut them out of context, lined them up like confessions, and painted them as emotional manipulation. She accused me of psychological entrapment and deliberate emotional sabotage. The lawsuit demanded financial compensation for wedding-related expenses lost due to malicious sabotage and for emotional trauma caused by deliberate humiliation. She wanted $75,000. And this time, it didn't look like she'd lose. Her new lawyer was sharp, not someone from her old firm. This one knew how to work public sympathy. They filed public copies of the complaint, leaked to a couple of gossip blogs in our city. Within 48 hours, I was being called a vindictive fiancé who tricked a woman into trusting him just to ruin her. My inbox filled with hate. People I hadn't spoken to in years started posting vague quotes about men who weaponize emotions. I even got a call from my job's HR department. She had the narrative again, and I was watching everything unravel again. My lawyer was doing his best. We filed a motion to dismiss, but the court date was set. 3 weeks away. I didn't sleep for nights. I started to think maybe she had one. Until I got a call. It was from an unknown number. A man answered. "I think you'll want to hear what I know," he said. He introduced himself. Worked in maintenance at a hotel across town. Told me a name. The name of the second man she had been cheating with. Not the janitor. Another one. He said he saw her there after the breakup. While she was pretending to reconcile with me. While she was recording me, stacking evidence for her lawsuit, she was still cheating. He had proof. Security footage. Room logs. And best of all, a written record with her signature where she used my last name to check in. Legally? That's identity misuse. Publicly? It's reputation suicide. I asked him to send it all. He did. I forwarded it to my lawyer that night. Now I held the match. She had the gasoline. But I had the fire. I didn't rush it. I waited 3 days after receiving the footage. 3 days of letting her believe she was winning. That she had finally turned everything around and buried me for good. Then I emailed her attorney. No threats. No insults. Just a subject line. New evidence your client's behavior. Attached were the hotel logs, the timestamped security footage, and a copy of the check-in form where she signed in under my last name. Her lawyer replied within the hour. "Can we schedule a call?" My lawyer joined the call. I stayed silent for most of it, listening as her attorney's voice shifted from smug to nervous to completely hollow. This evidence, if released publicly, it would significantly damage my client's credibility. No kidding. Then settle, my lawyer said. Drop the lawsuit. Issue a statement clearing my client of all claims. Or we go public. Court documents are public record. There was a long pause. "Let me talk to her," her lawyer said. "We'll respond tomorrow." I didn't sleep that night. I wasn't excited. I wasn't gloating. I felt empty. The kind of empty that comes after months of watching the person you once trusted twist themselves into a weapon against you. The next day, her lawyer called back. She's willing to drop everything. No payment. No public statements, just a clean walk away. No deal, my lawyer said. We want the apology. Written. Filed in court. And he keeps the apartment. Silence. She won't agree to a public apology. She will, I said, finally speaking up. Tell her if she doesn't. I sent the hotel footage to her mother. We hung up. That night, I got a knock on my door. I opened it. She was standing there. No makeup. Hair tied back. Eyes swollen. She dropped to her knees. Literally. Tears streaming down her face. Please, she whispered. Don't do this. I lost my job. I lost everything. Please don't send it to my mom. Please. I looked down at her. This woman who mocked me, laughed at me, destroyed my name. Now shaking, broken, begging. I'll do anything, she said. Just don't ruin me. I took a breath. And I stepped back. Fine, I said. No court. No emails. No revenge. She looked up, confused. You mean it? I nodded. But you sign everything. You walk away from the apartment, the furniture, the money. No contact. No statements. You vanish. She nodded fast, wiping her face. I will. I promise. And, I added, you send me the audio recordings. All of them. Raw. Unedited. She hesitated. Then nodded. She did everything I asked. She cleared my name. Signed away everything. Disappeared. And I never saw her again. But I kept the footage. I kept the documents. I kept everything. Not to use. Not to destroy. Just so I'd never forget how close I came to letting someone like that define who I was. Because I'm not the fool she thought I was. I'm not the weak one. Not anymore. But I do have one question. What would you have done in my place?